going to start the discussion on Samannaphala Sutta, the fruits of contemplative life. Today we have the second discussion on the same discourse. We are going to talk about the fruits of contemplative life, the results, good things of priest life. We were talking about the king Ajatasattu and how he went to those 6 teachers and what he heard from 6 teachers. They didn't answer the question well. Of course, they were unable to answer because they are not considered the good teachers that adhere to a principle in life. They lack of so many things. Therefore, they could not answer the questions to make the king happy. So we discussed that last week. Without going further into the discussion we had last week, I would like to begin with the first visible fruit of monk's life, because it is beautiful. The king, king asked the question. The king asked the question that there are so many people in this society, such as people who do cultivation, people who do businesses, and then farmers, accountants, government servants, private servants, and all kind of services are there. Their objective is to do a job according to their education and skills and make the family, husband and wife, children, everybody in the family happy with that. That is the achievement of their life. Even today, the goal of many people's life is to study well and find a better job, live in a peaceful area with a house and some sort of facilities, and teach their having children and teaching them good things. And this is the whole purpose of life for many people. So having said that, the king Ajatasattu asked, are there any fruits or purposes of monk's life? Are there such things in your monk's order as well? Then the Buddha answered in a beautiful way. Let me read that part. Suppose you have a slave, a workman who rises up before you, retires after you, does whatever you want, acts always for your pleasure, speaks politely to you, and is ever on the lookout to see that you are satisfied. The thought might occur to this person, it is wonderful and marvelous, the destiny and results of meritorious deed. For this king Ajatasattu is a human being, and I too am a human being. Yet King Ajatasattu enjoys himself fully endowed and supplied with the 5 strands of sensual sense pleasures, as if he were a god, while I am his slave, his workman, rising from him, and so forth. So there is a slave, there is a servant who is working close to the king, and he thinks one day that how wonderful it is, the power of meritorious deed. This king and also myself are human beings, but he can sleep as long as he wants. He has these luxurious beds and the palace and the whole kingdom. I am also a human being. I don't have anything of these. I have to wake up early, I have to go to sleep late, and I work so hard to make living. This is not because of anything else, but because of merits. So this person, Buddha said, thinks that I should accumulate merits in order to have a better life like the king, Ajatasattu. So this person later on goes out of home life to homelessness. It means in order to accumulate merits, he becomes a monk because he thinks that becoming a monk is the best life to get more merits. So sometime later Buddha said, this servant became a monk and came to you for some reason. So you recognize that this monk is my former servant. Do you ask this monk to work in your palace again? No, venerable sir, I worship him at his feet and respect him by giving standing up from my seat and giving a seat. I further serve with 4 requisites. Then Buddha said, this is the fruit of monk's life, which is visible right here. So the first the results or the beautiful, marvelous thing of this priestly life is having all these respectful things in the society. If you become a monk, suppose you are in 15 years old and there are 100 people older than you, right? And you become a monk, you became a bhikkhuni today, and everybody come and respect you. Isn't that a beautiful thing in this life? But it is not what we expect. We need to clear that. So getting respect from people and having all these luxurious 4 requisites are not the purposes of life. But it is a good result. When with saffron robe and bald-headed, the society has a perception that this person has let go of household life and live a life for his benefits and the society. He doesn't do any bad things. He doesn't violate any common and also spiritual rules. This is the belief of human society. It is not only in Buddhist society. It is always everywhere. Even in other communities, they believe the priest should be perfect and they are worthy of respect. So this is what Buddha said. The servant of the king became, I put here in a simple form, that the servant of the king became a mendicant after comparing the difference between the king and himself. Right? Difference of human beings is decided by the karma. This is the thing you need to remember. Why human beings are differ from each other today? The same question asked in a different discourse called Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta. Right? So, as I remember of these some questions and answers, the young person called Subha asked a question: why some human beings are born to this world with poverty, while some are born to this world with so much money and wealth? Actually, it is a question to ask, right? Why some are poor from the very beginning of their life, while some have so many things? The Buddha answered to these questions that those who are poor from the womb throughout whole life because they didn't practice generosity in previous lives. They attached to their wealth and money and everything so much so that they didn't give any. Therefore, even though they get human existence, they are poor. If they are reborn as animals, they don't have enough food to eat. They were in insecure places. Suppose some deer never get a threat from dangerous animals. Some fish could reborn in safe waters, that there is no any huge fish or other animals that could danger their life. So Buddha said that people do not have anything, even though they try so hard, because of lack of generosity they did not practice in previous lives. And people who have enough money to satisfy themselves is because of previous good karma plus the right thinking with right energy. If you have enough merits in your account, you just try little, then you are safe. You are in the right track, because you give some momentum for your merits to work on. Some people do not have that much physical problems, sicknesses. Don't worry that you have those things, because you have been living a long life. It is not the bad karma, right? And that come from previous life. But some people are born to this world with some sort of sicknesses, lack of good health, or they were born without anything, but after a couple of years, 10 years, 15 years, they got different things that they could not live happily. That is because of negative karma in the previous lives. Some live long life without any problem, any physical problem, any problem in their health. And don't misunderstand this, that why do I have this sickness now? It is because of eating bad food. It is because of some sort of living that is not helpful for your good health. Who knows? If you live in a cold area like this, there are particular sicknesses that you get throughout living. It is not bad karma you did in previous life. It is because of some sort of social, natural, and cultural, geographical things.
But isn't that also your karma, that you're born in these places where there are natural problems?
We cannot find places that are not natural, disasters in this world. The best thing is the right understanding.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, the right understanding is the best thing. Then you can overturn those bad karmas into good. If the Buddha was born in a place where there were so many bad things, like he could say killing thousand and thousand cattle and goats and horses, and people were fighting each other. Even his own family was ready to fight with relatives, and his good friends like King Bimbisara, Kosala, they were fighting for properties and killed thousand and thousand human beings. How unfortunate he was to see all these things. And we didn't have that problem like Visala, Mahanvara, those huge, that the whole city was like a cemetery. So the best thing is to have the right understanding, to turn the negative karma into good one. We have that potential.
Now you talked about wealth and all that. When you have wealth, you have to give and all. Be generous.
Yes.
When you have the right understanding, when you know first of God, it is also your duty to pass that knowledge to others.
Yes, that's one of the generosity. Sabba danang dhamma janang jinat. It means that giving the knowledge is the best giving.
Best giving.
So all the other givings
So
below
you get
that.
a lot of good karma. You will get a lot of good karma for
I
giving us
feel that, and everybody can do that.
Everybody can.
Everybody can do that. If you have the intention of telling the truth to somebody and influence them and make them right, everybody has that potential. Suppose you teach these good things to your grandchildren, either by email or through telephone call. You can say that, look, I have all these good things because of my good practice. I understand the Dhamma with the light of spirituality. So when we talk to people nicely and kindly and with understanding, they see the difference. And they might think, how this person so nice with this way. And then you have the opportunity to tell what is the reason for that. So that is also telling the Dhamma, explaining the Dhamma, giving the knowledge to somebody. It could be your son or daughter-in-law, son-in-law, grandchildren, brothers and sisters. That connection is there, but at that moment you become preacher, you become a teacher. So we have that opportunity.
You don't have to confine it to your family. You can tell even your friends.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have somebody outside of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we have friends. It doesn't matter whether the people you tell accept what you say.
Yeah.
It is your generosity that you share it with others.
Okay.
Now, even the Buddha did not find that some people get his message, right? But he did not stop telling the truth. Whenever he got the opportunity, he did that. Not because of accumulating merits for him, because he has done everything. He is not going to be reborn anywhere. He doesn't want anything out of his good things. So the best thing here is the understanding the karma. That person, as a poor person, actually had very rich mind to think that because of the meritorious powers, I was reborn as a servant. This king has had so many merits to be the king. If this same line of thinking goes to people today, how wonderful this world is. Instead of blaming somebody else, instead of blaming institution, instead of blaming countries, politicians and so forth, they could have developed themselves. Oh, I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have enough merits, I don't have enough skill, that's why this problem is with me. I should strive with whatever I lack. That's wonderful. Then the people do not go to fight with each other. So then even the king respected him with, when we discussed the first visible fruit of monk's life, the king immediately turned the other way because he is a monk now. You do not want to become a monk in order to change your life completely, change your attitudes, change your mind. It should come actually through your word and action, otherwise nobody notices it. Nobody notices that you change unless you take it out when you talk to, when you do things. The compassion, loving kindness, being able to accept, patience, even generosity, moral principle, discipline are something that you can show how you are and what you are, who you are. So people respect people when they are very disciplined. Okay, we go to the next one. Second visible fruit of monk's life. In that case, Buddha question again. This is the way it goes. The king asked the question and the Buddha answered to the question with a statement, question-like statement. Suppose the king there is a businessman or a taxpayer and those people who are stable financially, socially and education-wise, right? They compare themselves to the king of the country and they decide the same thing. We work so hard and we pay taxes, we are educated, but still uneducated, perhaps not, you know, uneducated, let's say uneducated king is so powerful than us. We don't have that much respect in the society like the king. The king did not go to college, the king did not study well, king did not know how to do all these businesses, no account knowledge and so forth, but he is esteemed by the society as the first citizen. So these people consider the difference, and they also see the difference of life based on karma. Then they became monks and nuns, and king respected. The king is inferior to these people in moral wise now. So this is the second visible fruit of monk's life. In the first fruit, visible fruit of monk's life, Buddha talks about, you know, people who do low jobs. You know, it doesn't mean that Buddha categorize people as bad and good by the profession, but the society thinks that. Therefore, Buddha wanted to show the difference, you know, the fruits of monk's life, considering those people in the society. So, after becoming a monk, king did not think that this person was a servant. Without that, he respected. Now, I think the middle class of the society, people from the middle class, entered to the order and king respected. Earlier, he did not do that. This is a visible result. So, king said, I bow down to him, rise up out of respect for him, invite him to a seat, invite him to accept gift of robes, alms, food, lodgings and medical requisites for the sick, and I would provide him with right to a safety, defense and protection. Not only the king did, you know, respect him with 3 bows, but he provides almost everything, because the monk or the nun who were middle class person now are highly respected with the moral principles. Don't you think, to become a monk or a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni? By hearing those 2 things,
I want somebody to lead.
I want somebody to
Lead the people who question and
you could lead.
You could be a leader.
But you always question and
The leading part is decided alone, right? Karma is decided. You know,
she knows FSC questions.
If
all
you
the-
I don't know, that's why I question.
you want to question and find out more and more.
So, after this, in the discourse, we have all these subtopics, higher fruits of contemplative life. The 2 we discussed are lesser fruits of contemplative life. Thus mean we do not pay too much attention to those things. If we pay too much attention, it means that we attach to something called respect, dignity, recognition. For that we become monks and nuns. No. Though they were fruits of monk's life, the one who enter into the order as bhikkhus and bhikkhunis should not think too much of these. Right? That's what it means. Now we talk about the higher fruits of contemplative life. These are the things you can get when you become a bhikkhu and bhikkhuni and practice Dhamma as said. Just monk and stay alone without doing anything, you cannot get this. So, first go to the higher fruits of monk's life with this. You know, according to the discourse, you may read it because it's long and we cannot get it here, all the important phrases. You may read it, taking time. According to the discourse, when a man or a woman came to the Buddha, they had a chat about normal things. Suppose you you go to the Buddha, Buddha never started telling you the Four Noble Truths. So we don't do that either, right? We asked, where did you go and are you coming to temple directly or drop by when you go somewhere and would like to have a tea or coffee, something like that we share. And even the Buddha did the same thing. That's the common way of meeting people, right? Meeting the Buddha and get clear the path of peace. Having that normal chat, Buddha asked question or people ask question, but with those question and answers, they made a connections, clearing their path to peace and happiness. It means that they talk about how we are going to maintain life peacefully and what should we do as lay people in the framework of Dhamma, and what sort of things we need to add to make our life better, and that sort of things were discussed in the first phase. So when the Buddha explained the power of Sila, Samadhi and Panya into that extent, then the person decide to enter into the order as a monk and nun. So then they go home and ask from the responsible other party whether I can go and become a monk. So you should get the permission from your wife or husband or children, whoever belongs to you. Otherwise we won't make you a monk or a nun. So in order to get permission from your wife or husband, ask that question when you are not happy with or when the other party is not happy. I'm just kidding you. So you, no, I mean, if you are not, if you have a fight with your husband and wife,
Then you never get permission.
I'm going to the temple.
yes.
You're ill-treating me.
So then those men and women enter to the order. So the first thing Buddha asked, or the teaching said clearly, to follow the basic principles. Principally accepted to follow a life of freedom. So this is the way those people understand the priestly life, monk's life. Household life is confining, a dusty path. It means household life is full of duties and so many things to do. The life gone forth is like the open air. It is not easy living at home to practice the holy life, totally perfect, totally pure, like a polished shell. So when a person listened to the Buddha's teaching clearly and understood the policy of this life, impermanence of this life, this is the way they think that my lay life that I am in is full of problems. The thing Buddha explained in his teaching cannot be practiced fully being a lay person. Therefore I should come and become a monk or nun. That life is full of happiness, and it just like the air, the sky. You don't have anything to worry about when you are in monk's life. Don't compare this statement into some monks today. You could see monks' behavior in televisions, in your own life. So it is their individual problems. But the real monk's life, bhikkhu life and bhikkhuni life, you don't have any problem. If you pursue the purpose of this life and live up to that, you are like as those monks and nuns at the time of the Buddha. Okay, leaving all material things in the possession, so then they leave everything. They do not worry about anything. They do not worry about any of those things. You may ask your family members who wants these things, or you perfectly divide them into family members. The person called Hattigamaka Ugga, he was drinking liquor while he was in the park, and he saw the Buddha. His drunkenness immediately gone because he saw the Buddha. The Shraddha aroused in his mind. Then on a later date, he went to the Buddha and listened to the Buddha. He got first enlightened into Sotapanna. Later he attained to the third level. After attaining the third level of enlightenment called Anagami, he came to his home and asked his 3 wives, he had 3 wives, to take all the properties and live after them. If you would like to find a new husband, I would like to do that. Actually, the first wife said that I want to be the wife of my cousin or somebody, as I remember. Then the husband, real husband, asked him to come and gave his first wife with so many things. So there is no problem for a person who actually saw the Dhamma into certain extent to let go of his belongings, because he is free now to leave everything. So first you meet the Buddha, listen to the Dhamma, and compare your present conditions to that particular life called monk or bhikkhuni. Then you leave everything to others, including leaving family members, friends, children. Then you are a monk at the monastery or a temple. Then you start restraining yourself on these 4 things. Rules of monastic codes. For a bhikkhu, if you become a higher ordained bhikkhu, you have 236, bhikkhuni 300 something. Then, seeing the danger is slightest fall, you are mindful to each and single physical and mental aspect, because you are afraid of doing bad things, negative things. Even a single thing happen, you care about it. You consider it very much. Then guarding the sense doors, you are very mindful of using your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. Then cultivating mindfulness and awareness. These are some of the aspects that we talk about in Satipatthana, right? Even as lay people, you can practice these things. That's why we discussed it, right? The very purpose of discussing the discourses from the text is of course not to influence you to become monks and nuns, but to get the meaning of those things that were delivered to monks and nuns and enrich your household life. So things pertaining to lesser or smaller section on virtues or moral principles, we have many. Abandoning harming living beings, practicing immeasurable loving kindness, which is quite similar to the first precepts of 5 principles. Then we have the second one, abandoning taking what is not given, accepting and expecting only what is given. Yeah. And abandoning incelibacy, following a celibate life. If you become a monk and nun, this is the total abandoned things for you.
Abandoning celibacy, then it should be not abandoning incelibacy.
Oh yes. Yeah. It's wrong that the way I wrote. Yeah. Thank you for showing that. Abandoning false speech, speaking truth. Abandoning slander, divisive speech, speaking to connect people. Abandoning harsh speech, speaking gentle, pleasing and endearing speech. Abandoning idle chatter, speaking what is factual, beneficial and timely. So we have more on the minor section of virtues. Abandoning damaged seeds and plants. refraining eating in improper time, abstaining from dancing, singing, instrumental music, and different such things. Abandoning from garland, scents, and beautification. Abandoning from high and luxurious bed and seats. What is the problem of these things, as you understand?
Sensual pleasures.
Yes, that's right. Any other answer? If you happen to may have these things,
Attachment.
of course, that's also right. And the other thing is that you spend most of your time
Protecting them.
to protecting them
Yeah.
and to keep them nice and clean, right? So having a life with very minimum thing is very peaceful. We experience that. If you go to our room, you may see that we don't have that many things. And I have gone to some of your rooms, not any of four of you, but I have gone to many people's house and see many things. How can they spend time for
Dusting.
cleaning and keeping them nice? You should spend many hours to keep them clean and nice. And
But even a priest, if lay people don't look after the priest can become very unhappy. He doesn't get the dana, he doesn't get that, he doesn't get this.
that is something else, I believe.
But good priests get looked after.
I don't know.
Even if lay people do not look after monks should be able to survive themselves.
But how about
But
food?
how
They
you
don't
don't
have
cook?
money.
You don't have money.
Originally we go on Pindapata.
Yes, but then also if lay people don't give you,
No, it doesn't happen anywhere at the world. Even in very hard areas, no need to have Buddhist, people give food.
yeah.
It is magical to think that.
Jayewardenaramaya and those monks are going for
One
Pindapata
day,
in
right?
Bhadevan. No,
Yeah,
they
that
have
is-
gone 3 times.
Yeah, that was really organized. Even if they do not organize it, if people are at home, they give food. Because people know that people know about the generosity. Irrespective of religion and any education, people know that. So, this is the thing that we need to understand. Buddha never informed people that we come to your area and arrange Pindapata.
Yeah.
Each civilized society knows this fact that we should give away of some of our belongings for merits. So even if lay people do not support in the way today's society, monks would be able to survive themselves. Suppose there are more than 100 monks in one monastery and no people is able to support them with the food. Suppose there are only couple of families, monks would be able to collect nuts and leaves that are edible and fruits. They could cook their food, and monks did that. Buddha was in one place, I cannot remember the exact place, and the person invited for the Vasan retreat, due to the Mara's influence, the person who invited forget that for whole 3 months. Then monks were preparing food for the monks always. I think they had a timetable of routines, the work lot to do at the monastery. They were preparing raw foods into cooked food and edible food. So I think there were a lot of works to do. Because lay people cannot go into kutis and areas where monks live, women cannot go anyway. Even men are not allowed to go because that's the way it is. and the Bhikkhuni monastery, men cannot go into that, even bhikkhus. So they were able to cut the grass and clean the ground and pour the water and bring the water and made the kutis, repair the kutis. So yeah, so the very idea of these things, as you said, to make you comfortable in your training, with the training that you really advancing, you would be able to go faster to the goal. Abstaining from any raw materials for food, slaves, animals for any purposes. Those days, some people donate, uncooked meats, food. So monks don't have all these facilities to cook. And other religious people, of course, criticize Buddhist monks of doing certain things. Then would they had to inform monks not to accept these things. And some religious people accepted cows because they could get milk from the cows and survive themselves. So then another problem, right? If you accept cows and goats and sheep and animals like that, you have to feed them, and then so many things to do. You are like in layperson now. So abstaining from accepting fields and lands, then you are bound with particular bondage. So Buddhist monks are not allowed to do that. Abstaining from taking messages from one place to another. There were monks, mendicants like that. So they were well served by the ministers and business people if they bring messages from this city to another. So some group of samanas had that kind of things in their life. So Buddhist monk did not do that. And abstaining from buying and selling, abstaining from dealing with any related matters of industries, businesses. Suppose a monk came from Rajagaha to Savatthi. He is knowledgeable about Savatthi, about businesses and so forth. A businessman in Savatthi feed that monk and ask some question, how is the businesses and so forth. So of course these monks may know about certain way of buying and selling and the crops they grow and so forth. It would be help for the businessman in Savatthi to know all these things through monks instead of sending another person. But this monk then would be talking about something unnecessary for his life. He is breaking his rules, talking about businesses, talking about kings and ministers, and he may attach to the businessman would seek another help after this and so forth. So you are going out of the Vinaya rules, your boundaries, the goal, if you happen to do this once. So they are all abandoned. Abandoning from bribery and corruption, abandoning from mutilating, executing, imprisoning and robberies. So when you see all these abandoning things, what comes to your mind is that Buddhist monk should be perfect in living. His life should be righteous by every means. Now we go to the next one, things pertaining to the immediate section on virtues. Intermediate. It's also intermediate and also middle way. We had lesser, minor virtues. Now we are in the middle and we have higher. Monks and nuns basically sustain based on 4 requisites offered by lay people. Robes, as you know, then food, accommodation and medicinal requirements. These are the primary requirements for monks to lead a better life, perfect life. actually these are the primary things even for lay people. The other things are additional. This is the basic. If you have enough food to eat, a place to live, clothes to wear, and medicines to take when you are sick, you live. You could live. But you are not. You should not limit it to these only for these things. You may do other things because the society should go further with some innovations and creations and all these things. That's how the society goes. And there is no agreement in the society that we all should have only these 4 things. Even to have only these 4 things, you should have some companies who provide food, right? And different companies who which provide the clothes and medicines. Then the society become complex things again. So you cannot put much veneer rules for lay person, normal person. It is the individual in the lay community to decide where I go, with what I go. But the institution created by the Buddha, based on a particular goal, should based on the Buddha's Vinaya rules, because they are going only for one direction, expecting one thing, that is the liberation from suffering. Okay, now while living on requirements donated by devotees, they have to abandon from wrongdoings. Now we have slowly come to the higher level of virtues. So we talk about many things before, and they are related to the 3rd section or the higher section. So if you partake the food and clothes and all these things offered by lay people and live in public places, spiritual places like monasteries, you have to live a perfect life. You have to live a life that you do not make yourself suffering. Let's say this fact in a different way. If I eat the food you offer, and if I use whatever you offer and do not have a better life, I accumulate demerits. I am indebted to you because I eat what you offer and do not do anything in spiritual life, which is really, really bad for me. I do not want to do anything negative. In just this thing is enough for me to reborn in hell. So it is not easy to become a monk. It is easy to become a monk, of course, but it is not easy to live as a good monk. It is really, really difficult. One day Buddha explained to a group of monks, it's a huge group, about the purpose of this life as a monk, as a bhikkhuni. He saw a huge fire, bush fire, some kilometers away, and show it to monks. See, do you see that wild fire? Yes. Showing that, the Buddha said that if you eat whatever people offer, and if you use whatever people offer in the name of robes and medicine and so forth, and do not follow the principles, putting into that fire is better than living in this life. Or it is better for you to swallow a red iron bar which is heated into red than those food people offer. How dangerous, how uh, you know, how dangerous if a monk or nun take the training principle without seriousness. So it's terrible. Then listening to this discourse, many monks decided that we already violated many rules, so we cannot live in this life. Many of those monks who listened to the discourse distraught. Some vomited blood because they got scared for what they did. And it is said that 60 monks attained to full enlightenment at the same spot because they were so happy about the way of priesthood they had. So Buddha got a report from monks after that many monks distraught because it is so hard to be a monk, real monk. They said that they do meritorious deed as lay people. Then Buddha was so compassionate and tell the monks in a later occasion that if you practice loving kindness, that is enough to stay in this monk's life. You may not be able to do much, but just stay with the boundaries of loving kindness as a monk.
Now, if you depend on lay people for your food and shelter and all that kind of thing, and there's a tornado,
Yeah.
what should the Buddhist monks do? Those people who support him, who look after him.
If the monk can support the lay people, it is allowed. Monks can go and help them psychologically. Of course, people know that
But
this
if the
monk doesn't have anything.
If the monk doesn't even check whether those people were affected by the tornado, is it okay?
That's a good question. Monks should have the method to check about the people. If the telephone or other ways of checking are not working, then there are no ways for monks to check about the situation of the people, right?
Did you lose power?
Yes. So even at such situation, monks are liable to, based on compassion,
Yeah.
go to people and make them safe, make them happy, because there are no boundaries of spreading loving kindness and compassion. Without violating your Vinaya rules, you can help people. At the same time, you may understand the purpose of your life and also the nature of human life. If the people who affected had done so many bad things and as a result they had these natural disasters, how could you help?
Yeah.
So then we have to assume that everybody in Danrobin had done bad, in that whole area had
No,
done
I
bad.
don't say that.
No,
I'm
don't say
to,
that.
yeah.
No,
could-
but isn't that what the result of their bad karma?
Could or could not be. We don't know. We are not Buddhas to see all the reasons of this bad incident that happened to those people. Yeah, when we see the damage, it's completely or not so, but the next we can think that the karma could affect in a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then insurance says that we don't pay. Sometime, if a tree fall down on your car, the insurance sometimes do not cover because it is not covered under the insurance policy.
Natural disaster.
It's a natural disaster.
But they cover floods.
Could be. So is there anyway, because when we sign the insurance, we do not read all these small letters for couple of pages. If we read and sign insurance, we should have a year or so to read all these things. And things happen. So the companies, of course, set up to profit, and we want something back when we have such bad incident. Everybody is doing something, like that.
But that is not being mindful if you don't read everything. So before you sign, before you
Yeah,
accept
that's what
something,
I'm telling. So when something happen and are not covered, it is because of your own karma.
Yeah.
So we are going to stop from here because it's 8 and we spend another week for the rest of the things in the discourse. It is so nice because you are about to know what are the fruits of monk's life. Now you cannot become a monk because you have so many good things to do in your life. They are bound to do. But you can make a wish that if this monk's life, bhikkhu life or bhikkhuni life has so many good things like this, from normal to the supreme, I wish to become a monk in a future life to end the cycle of suffering. So that could be a wish for you. That's what Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, Kema, Uppalavanna, wished when they start the training in previous Buddha's lives. They saw monks and nuns were crowned by the Buddha as foremost of wisdom, concentration and so forth, and they thought that, oh, I want to become that in a future Buddha Sasana. It is of course really okay.
Do you think you should tell lay people the duties or principles of the monkhood? Because then now I didn't know some of them.
Of course we
so
do.
then we get more, at least we should have a more respect because of the life you all lead. At the same time, maybe it might be a little bit both ways because
The other
then
monks
you
who don't.
also should be, now they are aware of all our Vinaya rules and everything. We should be also careful. I don't know, I'm
I
not
see
saying
it
that
is
it
very
should be.
important. I see it is very important because when you know what monks should do and what monks should not do,
Yeah,
you're mindful about the monks in terms of helping them and in terms of supporting them for their journey to enlightenment. The sasana could be well developed when both ordained disciples and non-ordained disciples know the Dhamma better.
yeah.
If one party is not knowing the real subject, so the other party could manipulate the party that doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
If lay people know about the Dhamma very well, that is really helpful for monks to be get corrected.
And also in that Supatipanno, they said monks who have practiced well. No? That.
Yeah, not only monks. In
But
8,
Supatipanno is about monks.
no,
Huh?
even lay people are included into that.
Oh.
Yeah, not all, the 8 individuals are not only monks. Even lay people are included.
Right.
Those who are on the path to Sotapanna could be monks and nuns, upasakas and upasikas. And those lay people who attend to Sotapanna are included in the 8 individuals. So they have the Supatipanno quality. Supatipanno quality could be with lay people as well. So you worship not only monks. This is why we tell that right understanding is really important. So when you worship and recite Supatipanno Bhagavato Savasango, you worship Visakha, Anathapindika, Chitta Gurupati, Kujuttara, those lay women and men at that time of the Buddha. Not only that, you worship lay people and their feet who live today into that category, into that level. Could be that monks and nuns are more than lay people. It is another thing. but the stanza include any person who has that mentality. All right, so it's 8:05 now. I hope you understand the monk's life and their fruits into certain extent. Hope you have good thoughts in mind, compassion, loving kindness, and respect for you. And I wish you good health and peace of mind to practice the Vinaya rules for you and understand the Dhamma better. May you be well, happy and peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.